Right, and we're back. Right, so evening, everyone. It is the second phase of what we do in this program, and as I said, this is where there's quite a bit of interaction with content. There's quite a bit of search to find proper sources. Obviously, the librarian is there to assist if you guys are getting stuck with sources. I'm going to just spend a bit of time on stuff that we have done, but maybe I've rushed through in the past in terms of where to find sources. The submission is this one here. So this is the outline. I will make sure that you have it. So when we do this submission, and I'm going to worry about that, I'll come back to the research paradigm because we've spent quite a bit of time on that. So when we write our literature review component, this is the way we present it, and I'm only looking at the bit that I've highlighted there. Oh, shucks. Sorry, guys. Yeah, this has been a yeah.
Bit of a long day, Doc, today.
Yeah, no, I'm also a little bit out of it. I think that's the problem. I'm being really dumb today, which is annoying me. Okay, thanks, Neil, for that. Okay, so guys, the layout in terms of the next submission, I'm not worried about introduction and paradigm at this stage, but you'll see that this now becomes standard going forward. So even this will be carried forward into your proposal, obviously accommodating whatever feedback and whatever recommended changes came from your supervisor. So there are a couple of things that we need to remember. Please don't ever give us headache on heading on heading on heading on heading. When you have that bit literature review, tell us what is in a literature review. Tell us that you are looking at existing scholarship, focusing particularly on the theories that will frame your discussion, telling us that you will then look at other research that's been done in your field, and then tell us that you are going to write up your conceptualization. So we never want to see the stuff that's on top of each other, different headings. So each of those, just give us a brief introduction. It's all about the flow, and we're starting to establish the flow of the document. And you'll see that when you get to your proposal, there's marks allocated for the flow of the document, for language use, for the way that we transition between different sections. So we might as well get into that habit now. The theoretical framework. Now, you'll recall we spoke about the theoretical framework, and in particular for people who were doing quantitative, we spent a bit of time finding theories. Those are the theories that would act as the blueprint for your research. As the term suggests, they will frame your research. The important part in terms of the theoretical framework and the way we write the theoretical framework, I'm going to stick it in here, although you would never do it this way. Okay, so please remember to delete this when I share this document. But when we write a theoretical framework, the easiest way to do it is as follows. Let me just do A like that. You will always start with the theory in its original format. So you will go and find the original individuals that had done the research on it, done the postulation around the theory, and you will describe the theory in its original format as it was designed right at the beginning. And do yourself a favor, be quite procedurized about this, because when we mark, it makes it so much easier when we can see that you followed the format that we've suggested. We also know, guys, that remember, ultimately, some of your research will go to moderators, and we want to make it as simple for the moderator as possible. So part B would be updated views on your theory. Updated views on your theory. So here you'll go and look who else added, who had criticized, who had amended, who had expanded onto your theory, who had adjusted the theory. And then part C would be the relevance of the theory to your research. So here you will tell us why this is the theory you've selected to frame your research. So the relevance to your research. Get into that habit. Please don't go and write A, B, and C, guys. That's me just being procedurized, but have a paragraph that looks at the original. Spend time on a separate paragraph looking at updated views, and then also look at the relevance to your research. If you have two theories, and I think the quantitative people, we would have forced to have two theories. If you have two theories, remember, make sure that when you do theory one, that you transition from theory one to theory two. So it is important in terms of this process that we constantly think about the transition sentences, those things that we use to promote flow. It's going to call it theory one. Do you guys want me to leave this in the document knowing that you need to remove it?
Yes, Doc, I think it will definitely help.
Okay. So the same thing, if you have two theories, you will, and again, guys, remember when we write these things up, just watch these silly little clips that I spend with you guys and use that, watch a bit, write a bit, watch a bit, write a bit. So in terms of that, there would be the three components. Please make sure that between theory one and theory two, you show us the connect between the two. You show us the reason why they are logically linked in terms of your research. Okay. From there, we will do a review of the literature. So here we look at past scholarship. You will see that ultimately out of this, a series of themes will develop. Now, we don't force themes, and that's why I get so tense with that concept document, because we are forced to give themes. I mean, it's the most illogical thing that I've ever seen in my life, and they point blank refuse to change it. But remember, the themes will emerge from the stuff that you've read. So the more you read, the more comprehensive those themes are. And remember, a theme is a logical combination of ideas that have emerged from you reading a variety of sources. So these ideas are logically linked, are saying the same thing or might contradict each other, but it is around a single concept. So whenever we talk about themes, these are those concepts that emerge from your research. The one suggestion that I make in terms of your reading, guys, is don't write your summaries out. Type your summaries up so that when you get to the point where you are writing this, you can actually copy and paste the summaries and then just create those connected sentences. You will see that once you start doing it, you will have several groups of articles linked together, and keep them linked together because those would suggest what your theme should be. In terms of conceptualization, your conceptualization, and I've defined this already, but it is the set of definitions that the reader needs to understand in order to effectively read your document. So when we think of these definitions, it would be the actual designation of whatever thing we are going to put as a definition. So the name of the definition, and then you will define it, and then you will expand a little bit in terms of giving us just a little bit of a discussion to explain it as well. Please don't give us paragraph long definitions. Definition, the name of the definition, defining the concept. Remember, when you define concepts, guys, use academic references. Don't go to dictionary.com and nonsense like that. You need to use academic references. This is where we start refining the quality stuff. And then define, and then a brief description in your own words. And often it almost links it back to your research. So you'll remember we constantly talk about the golden thread, and we start building the golden thread here. In terms of once you've done your theoretical framework and you finish theory 2, please transition to your literature review, to your review of literature. Tell me what a review of literature is, that it is an investigation into existing scholarship to identify potential themes which may emerge from past research. Then give us your themes, and then again, transition sentence to conceptualization. Tell us what conceptualization is. Give us those definitions. So for me, this is where you start, as I've said, engaging significantly with content. The research paradigm, you will simply expand on the research paradigm as was in the concept document. I know that some of my students had written it extensively. So it's to then take it further. Tell us your selected paradigm. Tell us why you've selected it. Tell us the ontology, epistemology, axiology, etc. And then obviously transition to the next phase. I don't know what the word count is on this document. I don't know. Has anyone had a glance at that? Hold on, let me look, because I should be able to see that. So we are looking at part 2 here. Right, and here is the document. Remember, 3,000 to 4,000 words. Just be very careful of not, oh, thanks, George. I didn't even see there. Well, please be very careful of not going too much over, because remember, this document plus feedback on this document is literally copied into your research proposal. So you've got to make sure that you get your numbers in terms of the words right now. Right, now the introduction and we talk about problem setting, etc. So for me, the ideal introduction does a couple of things. For me, the key thing in terms of having a good introduction, guys, is to have something that grabs the attention of the reader. So we want an introduction that will grab someone's attention. So whether that is a personal experience that you've had and the personal experience prompted your research here, whether it is a quotable quote about your topic that you had found somewhere, whether it is a newspaper headline, but the essence of it is that you want something short, sharp, powerful to grab someone's attention. So we want to start, and I almost want to use the term start with a bang. It has to wake the person up. I'm a firm believer in first impressions, guys. And the first impression, you don't want this to be ho-hum. You want this to be impressive. So if we look at, and I should have opened this, my apologies, the intention was that all along. I want to grab Ariel's. And if you have seen Ariel's, very cleverly done in terms of hers. If you see her introduction. Right, so there's the introduction, chapter 1. I might not have put introduction there, but she's put it there. Okay, so she did this, grabbed an article from a newspaper and then asked that question. So it grabs your attention. I quite like the idea that it stands at the top alone, that visually it is unique, that visually it stands out from the rest of the document. Now, I read an article when I did my last bit of studies that said for publishable articles, on average, the introduction is rewritten 10 times. So the average number of introductions and number of rewrites to get an introduction right is up to 10 times. And the reason for it, because it is that first impression that is important. Please remember this. in terms of your first impression. Go find, I might have shared the story, and my apologies if I have, but if I had to do research on COVID, not that we'll allow research on COVID anymore, we're over COVID, I will share a story of what happened when I heard we went into lockdown. When I heard we went into lockdown, I went onto Facebook. I loaded the REM song. It's the end of the world as we know it, and for me, I would have that. It's the end of the world as we know it, because that's what it felt like when we went into, and it's obviously REM. Who doesn't know REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It? Georgia, don't be so sure about it, because this is a generational thing now. Oh my gosh. Does everyone know the song, or does no one know this song? I don't know if we'll play. Oh gosh, I'm pretty sure that's not the end of the world. I don't know how to skip this. Oh, come on. Know the song, Tashila? Who doesn't know the song? If you don't know it, you lose 25%. It's a sign of not being raised well. Sarah, did you not know the song? I'm being recorded threatening you guys. I've just offended people's parents. Oh gosh, no, you have to lie. Well done, Sarah. Sarah, you're my favorite student, Sarah, plus 25%. I think it's a lie, but for me, that's what I would share. I would put there, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I would go REM, and I then would have a transition sentence. And my transition sentence would be something along the lines of, yes, it is radical. It is over the top to say that it is the end of the world as we know it. But that's how I felt when I heard we were going into lockdown. And then from there, transition into your topic. So please don't let that hang by itself there. You need to share that, but then bring that in, transition into your own discussion. So we can see here, she spoke about 11 years ago and detail around that. And then she transitions into her discussion. She's done it a little bit differently in that she's said background. I would do it the same way if I were you. Put the background, and the background is where we throw in numbers and stats. So here we talk about numbers and stats in terms of your general topic. And you can see what she's done really well. She's gone elsewhere in the world and said, this is what it has happened in the world, this has worked, but obviously we don't have this in South Africa. So in terms of your first bit there, who else is very good at that? I'm trying to think who else I would suggest. I tend to default to certain people, which is not really good, but okay, so you can see I would have done this differently. I would have put that at the top, and then transition from there. But it's still a very powerful opening statement, a really powerful opening statement. And that's what makes this a good assignment. Remember, this is a 90%er. Aerials is a 90%er. This is quantitative research. Aerials is qualitative research. And she throws definitions and discussions in. But you see exactly, Neil, we could do that. If you stuck that at the top, it is a thought-provoking statement. It's a thought-provoking statement. I mean, how powerful is that? I mean, Neil, that is wonderfully, wonderfully powerful. It's an excellent example, boy. And that's what we want. It's something that punches you in the head and makes makes you take notice. So try and get something profound. Try and get some crazy item from the news. Let me see if I can share something else. I'm a bit reluctant to share this, but hold on. I think seeing is often a better way to appreciate. I mean, me just saying it's just a load of nonsense. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, shit. Okay, so you don't need to see any of that nonsense. That's there. Don't worry, pay attention to that. So there is my introduction from my PhD. Now, this is a long time ago, guys. So, I've also learned a lot since I did this. But what had happened is my title was around what happens in organizations, and it's really about employee panic and employee emotionality that essentially happen when organizations' continued existence is threatened. So for me, I found this article. Now, can I just say, I rewrote this bloody introduction a multitude of times because my supervisors were not happy at all. But you can see there, I couldn't sleep last night, but stayed up. And it's about people losing their jobs, okay? It's terrible death, like a massive earthquake. Now, if I had to do that now, that would sit at the top in the middle. But let's be honest, this is a long time ago. And I said, my transition sentence, we can be forgiven that these are lines from a disaster movie. And it talks about, what directors do. And then it brings us into our topic. And it's from Lehman Brothers employees. Those are their names after they found out that Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest banks in America, was about to close. And you can see the transition there. Now, my stuff is not anywhere near the standard that Ariel and oh, I can't remember the other girl's name now, delivers. Minus 25%, you little No, it was handwritten by I have immaculate handwriting. It's not that long ago. Well, can I just say my honors research was with a bloody typewriter, and that was yeah, no, my honors research wasn't. My first degree research was with a typewriter, and that is thoroughly unpleasant. Guys, do you get what I'm saying in terms of grabbing the attention, the transition into your topic? I don't like using my stuff, but I think the simple truth is. Now, I can't, mind you, I say it so often. I think the implication is there. Yeah, guys, I won't be back tomorrow. Oh gosh, I was so buggered until I started lecturing. I needed a good laugh and being out of hand. So for me, go and find your introduction, guys. Go and find that introduction. I think I'm a firm believer. Once you've written the introduction, the rest happens very, very easily. And I think that maybe should be your little job for tomorrow and the day after. Just go find that introduction. Now, the layout of my document, I can't show you guys. I did it grounded theory. Now, grounded theory is a very unique and, yeah, a real pain in the butt bit of research. Paradigm, there we've got the rest. I'm not too worried about that. I don't like the layout here, but we control our own layout, so they've got those together. I wanted the overall, the all literature review, theoretical foundation, review of literature, and conceptualization. I'm not particularly concerned. Oh, and your conclusion. Sorry, I might have not have put a conclusion in. I must just check that. And you can see what we give marks for. And already we're starting to worry about your writing, your approach. And please, guys, keep your writing simple. If you need help, let me know so I can connect you with the writing center. I'm trying to get somebody who I know is a genius onto the writing center, but let me know so we can connect you with the writing center. This is the most frustrating bloody thing in the world is you'll get feedback on your concept document and you need to show that you've paid attention to that feedback after it's been marked. It just irritates the living daylights out of me, and they still have kept it in. Sorry, I did put in the conclusion there. Right. So at this stage, can I assume, I'm not going to go through the paradigm at this stage, can I assume that everyone has their theories for their theoretical framework? I think the one thing we did in class, and I know your supervisors will disagree with me and will amend, but we made sure that everyone had a theory or two. Okay. And the feedback from your supervisors in terms of our suggested theories, guys, how did they embrace it, or were they kicking against it? And again, I don't tell the supervisors what they have to accept, but I think we spent a lot of time trying to get that sorted, to get that right. Okay, so if you've got your theories, you now know where to start. My suggestion is the paradigm. Wait for the marks to come back for the concept document, because obviously that will guide your thinking around the paradigm, but you can start working on your introduction and your background. That's where my focus would be over the next couple of weeks. What does the PAS say about the next submission date, guys?
24th of April, if I'm not mistaken, Doc.
Holy, yeah, but
It's just around the
I think
corner.
it's the 25th of April.
okay. So what we'll do is, Deirdre, we'll do what we'll do is we'll make the 25th or the 20, yeah, whichever the one it is, for 25th, the first day, and then we'll give another 5 days after that. That's what we'll do in terms of the submission. So if you submit on the first day, that's fine, but you will be able to submit until the 30th. So work towards the 30th, guys. I will chat to Tammy. You know, it's quite difficult for me to do that because in the past I used to set all of these, and I'm not the P gal anymore. I need to remind myself that I'm not in charge of that anymore. But I'll tell Tammy that we will work from the 25th to the 30th. So work towards the 30th. I think, oh gosh, Deirdre, very, very cool. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know, Neil, but I think we need to start concertinaing, and the way to concertina is now, because, you know, after this, your next submission is a bugger, hey? Your next submission, and I think it is the next submission, that's the proposal, if I got that wrong. Gosh, it's been a while. Hold on. So the next submission post this is the presentation. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. The presentation is based on this. You see, guys, your presentation is based on that. So you have to do the proposal in order to do the presentation, if that makes sense. Because we now, yeah, so we have to start concertinaing a little bit. Within reason, and Tammy and I will keep chatting. Also, we consider the fact that you guys are, is it on the 29th of May? Holy sh! Goodness me. So part 1, 2, 3. What is part 3 then? Okay, no, this is way down the road. This is down the road. I'm not worried about that. Okay, so I think 12th to the 16th yesterday. Yeah, and that presentation is based on your research proposal. Yeah, that's correct, Georgia. And that presentation is based on this bugger here. So the presentation, yeah. So the way we do it is you write your proposal first, you do your presentation, you get feedback in the presentation, and you then amend the proposal to be submitted to the Ethical Clearance Committee. That's where we're at. So the presentation, although it appears there, happens once you've written this up. Okay. Right. So, guys, do you mind if we call it short tonight? I'm feeling a little bit unwell. Would it be the end of the world if we call it now?
No, everything's good, Doc.
I think we know where
Agreed.
we are. My apologies. I'm feeling a little bit shaky. Okay,
No
guys,
problem.
thank you so much. My apologies for this. Okay. Cheers,
evening.
everyone. Bye.